time on the mainstream as Falcons against Twisted Minds fighting for this #1 spot in Group B. So we're heading over to Lijiang Tower.
I want to give a special shout out, of course, to Unter, who has come fully suited and booted to slay China today. Dressing up more than most, only Fate really dressed up yesterday. Probably the best dressed coach yesterday, but Unter making a pretty strong case for best dressed so far today, at least from what we've seen. We'll see if Mkers can be as smooth in the server as Unter is behind them.
To give you a quick update on what happened in the A stream so far as well. Quite obviously, Crazy Coon, they took down the roster of Gaming Gladiators in fashion, quick 3-0 on their side as well. Therefore, Crazy Coon and Toronto also, they're locked in for the playoffs. But now we want to understand who might be able to take this third spot in Group B, as Mkers and Wu Feng are battling it out on a Lijiang.
It's going to be a ram into Sigma Mirror, which should, in theory, favour the ram. Obviously, no Lucio, so everyone's on bat break, so it's a slow brawl, which makes it a little bit better for the Sigma ultimately, but I think the ram still fancies that one. Maybe the big difference here is that LGD have way more spam on their side, way more damage output, which means Top Dragon's really going to have to do a lot to have significant impact here, as they're forced back and he's trying to pressure Monk. They're kind of just in the open here, actually, LGD. It's not a great place to be, and it's Shy who falls first. They've just been encircled by the Mkers, and they're going to be forced all the way back now. Leader's going to get caught. No DPS. No chance for LGD.
Top Dragon taking out 2. Punk follows up with the kill on the Brigitte. Mkers up to a strong start here, able to flip the point right away. Good start, good start. Top Dragon already at about 80%. Ake already close to the window as well. This could already be interesting.
It's going to be a classic window trade, I think, on this first one. Obviously, normally what happens in a window trade is someone's going to die really quickly. It will happen in about 1 second, so a lot of attention on who gets that early pick, as we see Leave actually trying to take a bit of an angle on that. Window comes out from Monk. Doesn't find all that much, though, and now a chance for Mkers to go with their own.
Fights now coming and collapsing on the point, as Top Dragon is trying to take a peek at the backline here. Mortality field taken up by Leaf. Punk falling dangerously low, gets taken up by Monk. Advantage on the side of Wu Feng, but Top Dragon is there once again, taking out the Baptiste backline, now a bit weaker on the side of Wu Feng. As Leaf is looking for the pick, he gets it against the Cassidy. Advantage for him now, basically uncontested. He can just freely swing around and take pick after pick with his team. Wu Feng back on the scoreboard. Point is now in their favor.
A much better structured fight from LGD in terms of coming main, having the Pharaoh go coast, trying to play in a sort of slower game, maneuver themselves a bit of an advantage in that front line, as opposed to the first one where we just ended up in the middle of point and surrounded by everything. Annihilation is coming back for Punk, but no Lucio makes it harder to execute. A Barrage makes it harder to execute. A Flux will make it harder to execute, so I'm not sure how many options Punk really has to play aggressive this one here, but he's going to pop it right now, and it does not go anywhere.
It really doesn't believe. He finds a kill with the Barrage, the early advantage for Wu Feng. But Punk and his team, they're not moving back from this. Gets stunned, gets killed. Top Dragon is able to find a kill with the pulse bomb. It won't be enough to really make something happen, as Wu Feng, they're stabilizing here already at around 60% now as well. And the Mkers, honestly, they now have the window to work with, but other than that, there's not too much happening here as they get a late kill on to Opener as well.
They're going to spam him early. Flux still up for Gushway, as Punk is actually going to go onto the mirror. Again, a hero that's pretty comfortable for Punk. Honestly, it's Gushway on Sigma is really the surprise here. Not a hero we've seen him on a lot before. Window from Monk, but kind of looking at nothing. Top Dragon's going to start forcing point. This is going to pull LGD back, and a chance for Mkers to go with their own window. They just have to care this Flux from Gushway.
Window now coming out. This could be dangerous, but the position is not optimal as there's not too many targets up ahead. Shy does get the win in the Cassie's duel, though. Advantage once again on the side of the Chinese team, and Gukshui, he's just able to follow up on this with great Flux, Leaf and Monk. They finish the job, and Wu Feng, they go up ahead on Lijiang.
Well played in the end. Good patience from Gushway. I think sometimes you can drop that Flux in straight away when you see the window, just to try and stop them getting full value out of it. But ultimately, played it a little bit slower, realised the rest of his team were ready for the window, could just de-peak, and as a result, he can play it slow, wait until they bleed out a few more resources, hit that Flux, get the cleanup kills exactly like we saw at the end, and a good start for LGD on a comp we wouldn't necessarily associate with them.
Surely not, but it is all about flexibility in this World Cup, right? You need to make the right decisions, especially with those bans here. It's not an easy one, but it's one that Wufeng has been able to make good work of. As we do once again take a quick look at the flux right here, and now are heading into Garden.
Different
TP
look
on
now.
both sides.
Yeah, different
Oh no,
look
but Ash.
different look from LGD now with dive composition. So Anna Brugge can be quite hard to play on this map because you normally get stuffed at the choke, but with no Lucio, you don't actually get to stuff the team at the choke in the same way you would. So instead, Maker's going to have to take a fight from White Room, play a little bit slower, and play just a clear point. Makers do have the advantage in the neutral. As you can see, Gushue take all this damage, and this is the important fight for Makers to win. Just like we said in Toronto versus Rock, the fights versus Zero ults, super winnable. The fights versus the scary ults gets a little bit tricky. So important to win these fights here if you're the Makers. But they're actually making a meal of this.
Yeah, Shy already getting a couple of very good picks here, but the point goes towards Makers first. Gushue looking to create space here. The point is meant to be flipped soon, but there's so many Makers players now coming onto the objective. Wufeng actually have to pull back a bit here.
They do. They've slowed it down. They're still in control of the point, though. They have managed to regroup. Lengthsword is going to cross and join them. Window is nearly up for Aki, and look how slowness Primal and Nano is. That's the big win for Makers. It means they will be able to hang on to this point for quite a while yet. They just need to respect this Bob, but honestly, the Makers comp is so good at dealing with Bob.
Good dynamite from Shy, creating some extra damage already. Has to pull back a little bit though. There's the window now coming in, but the Bob is going to take a lot of space here. Could finish it off quickly, but instead they decide to pull back a bit here. Punk is now in danger. Shockdragon looking for pick with that pulse bomb maybe. Trying to find a good time. The stick is good, but it goes against the shield. No kill created here. Now we do see the Gravitic Flux as well coming in. Top Dragon finds the kill on the Brigitte in the end. And there's a slight advantage here, but can they make it work?
Primal coming up for Gushue soon, which is maybe going to be the one to cause them trouble. He is on this backline. He has eyes of knocking them off the map and knocking them somewhere. They're going to try and move away from him here, but Gushue has one idea in his mind. He wants to push this poor guy off the bridge, and he's going to try and do that. Meanwhile, Lee finds a kill on point as well, and the retake, the ults will be good in the end for LGD, but 73% before they get the flip.
Gushue here looking strong on that Winston. The thing is, as soon as Wufeng do get a first pick in a fight, usually the rest of it is pretty set, right? They do manage to play those fights out very controlled. They don't really allow any errors here. But they have to make that first pick and Makers. They've been able to get that first control quite often in this matchup so far. Dynamite thrown in the mix there. It's now Makers' turn to go back but leave. He gets an early frag. Unfortunate, very unfortunate here. Cassidy not making something happening here, but it feels they all fall in favor of Wufeng. And once again, the Winston is so deadly here.
Such a disaster really for Makers, because they didn't quite have the scary ults yet for LGD. It looked like a classic go White Room force point with High Noon. Try and get the flip. If they rally push or something, we can just take a step back. Window would have been really nice for Makers. Now, all of a sudden, they miss that opportunity. They lose the fight. Now they have to do the retake into that Nano Primal combo. And they still have the rally. And they even have a Bob to throw in LGD. So all of a sudden, that mistake there, even though it just feels like a small one from Aki, might actually be the one that cost them the entire round and this first map as well.
It really might be, yeah. Now Top Dragon, he has to make something work on this Echo. Trying to contest the Ferret a little more here, but the Nano Boost, it is strong on the Winston. He's looking for the distraction. He will get them in the end. Backline is in trouble here. He takes out both of them in a quick and easy fight. One last one, maybe up on the board for Makers, but it will have to be a quick one.
Looks like Gushue's really considering going early. Actually, they want to try and get Top Dragon out of the sky here if they can. They're trying to zap and beam him down. Punk's gone the emergency Junker Queen just to try and shout people out there a little bit quicker. They're going to try and walk across the bridge. I think the responsibility to touch is going to be Top Dragons, but they just want to go LGD. They're jumping them in the spawn.
Touch has been made. Gushue now going in with the primal rage, but they'll need to find a way to make it towards that point because overtime is ticking down dangerously long. Shy finds the pick against Top Dragon. Good opening of the pieces down as well. Leaf takes down the Jungle Queen. And Wufeng, they make their way towards the first point here. Lijiang Tower falling into their favor. But Makers, it's a strong showing, honestly. They do have an opportunity here, and it feels like it is a quite equal matchup. They just have to be able to find those 1 or 2 more fights that did make the difference in the end.
A pretty good finish in the end. Not Gushway's the best primary we'll ever see from him. Drops it ultimately in the end, but still forces Aki on. And ultimately, 2 primals, kills for BAP on both of them. Got to be happy with that if you're Gushway. I think the big win for LGD is actually this first one we saw on Control Center, but we're able to win this slower, brawlier mirror, which is something they certainly struggled against Twisted Minds with. The big problem LGD have is, in this series or in this map right here at least, they were able to keep Shy on hit scan, and everyone knows how good Shy is at hit scan, but when he's forced to play some of the Tracer or some of the Echo, we saw a weakness in his game, and this is a problem a lot of hit scan players are facing at this tournament. If they can't find a way to either be good at these heroes or play around it, they suddenly lose one of their highest impact players. It's a problem we heard Sugarfree talk about earlier in terms of what if Merit has to go Tracer or Echo or something. He's not the same level of impact, but here, Shy was good value for his team.
Absolutely. Same as earlier. Now, of course, it is time for Mkers to do a next map pick. And as yesterday, one of the options might be Midtown here, as they were able... obviously, now they can play the D.Va, right? Because D.Va has been banned early on, and therefore will be available for the team of Mkers if they don't decide to ban it on their own, which probably, honestly, they won't. And therefore, maybe a good opportunity to find a D.Va fitting map. And with the current meta, there's quite a lot of options to pick from here.
Yeah, I think there's actually a surprisingly large amount of options against Mkers. In a weird way, they might actually be the more flexible team than LGD, despite the supposed difference in strength. I think if I'm them, I'm probably happy to go to a D.Va mirror. So if I could go to a Flashpoint or even like a Colosseo or something would be quite reasonable. Something where I can force that mirror seems really viable. Likewise, if I do want to go to the Midtown, I think that's a perfectly reasonable solution as well. Force more of this Bat Brig. I think some of the problems on that Bat Brig was actually maybe Top Dragon. Not that he was playing poorly, but Tracer is quite a hard hero to play into a Bat Brig cast. Lots of things that can go wrong for you. Have to play a very low resource, high value or high attention taken role compared to just put him on the Genji or the Echo and let him play a bit more of a direct role and see him a bit more at his best. So we saw them make some of those changes, so we'll be interested to see how Mkers choose to approach it. But yeah, a lot of options actually for Mkers. I think that seemed quite reasonable here.
Absolutely, might be Midtown to defend the Widowmaker on it. On the other side, obviously, Wufeng, they are used to Midtown as well. They did play it against Twisted Minds yesterday, and they actually did make it quite close, 2-3 yesterday in that map number 3. They did end up losing the series afterwards, but after that Widowmaker ban, Symmetra ban actually, surprisingly, it did look quite close for them as well. So maybe Midtown obviously is a comfort pick, maybe for the team of Mkers. On the other side, though, Wufeng, they looked, well, compared to other maps, they looked fairly comfortable on it against a strong team like Twisted Minds, and maybe consider a different option. Quite a lot to choose from for sure, but I do agree with you. Coming back on the bans from the first map here, that D.Va now not bannable anymore could become a disadvantage for Wufeng.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because there's sort of two lines of thinking of, isn't there the perfect way to ban for a series in terms of we save our key bans for the key maps that are most valuable on? That seems like it should be the best approach. But one thing that should also be factored in is this is not a fixed game like a solvable algorithm, because as we saw yesterday, momentum is so important. There is the sports side of this as well, the sports psychology side of this in terms of the momentum, the ability to just snowball forward. We saw Nightmare win on compositions you didn't expect them to win. If you were to tell me yesterday that Nightmare were going to draft into a dive mirror against Fnatic, I'd say, well, good job, Nightmare, you've just lost yourself a series. But that's not what we saw at all. We saw it work out perfectly for him. So I think there is also an argument to say, you know what? Just win maps. Focus on one map at a time, make sure we win that, and we'll just solve for problems as we come. Try and lean into momentum a little bit more. And maybe that's what we're seeing a bit more from Rush in terms of, let's just get map wins under our belt and go from there.
Definitely time for some big brain moves now, maybe, well, from the coaching staff as well, as we do. Obviously, we talked about it before. Mkers, they are coached by Ante. Ante's definitely somebody who's been around in the Overwatch scene for quite some time, so he'll probably take a couple of minutes to think about what to do next, as we'll throw it into a quick break, and we'll be right back for map 2.
took a vow to never sin, but I saw the darkness from within. And if the sun can't break through, just let the thunder shake you. I know there's a hunger for the truth. Another moment of clarity. I see the one who breaks me. I never thought it could be. I never thought it could be. You. I never thought it could be. I don't know what there is left to say. Nothing left to stand in your way. You shook me right into my core. There's nothing left of me anymore. Another moment of clarity. I see the one who breaks me. I never thought it could be. I never thought it could be. You. I never thought it could be. I never thought it could be. You. Never thought it could
Straight back to the stage as Mkers are looking to get back into this series as they lost against the team of Wolfgang on Lijiang Tower. And we do see a new map coming in, making a first appearance on the B stream here. It's going to be Circuit Royale, and if we take a look at the substitutions that did happen here, this is an interesting one. Mkers banning the Zarya, the Brigitte on the other side, and Commander, we do have a substitution on the side of Mkers, obviously. Will we see a double flex support here?
Certainly seems that way. Color Hex has been a player we've not really seen so far for the Mkers. He's a player who has, well, great flexibility. Probably best known for playing Flex DPS in the Overwatch League for Boston, but more recently has kind of just played every role. One in Australia, been very successful on anything he touches, and today will be asked to pick up for support duty, and that means you have to expect there's going to be a double flex support on the cards for Mkers, Circuit Royale, a map that suits it as well. So maybe like a classic Widow Genji composition, Punk on Sigma, again trying to force a matchup that's quite difficult. And then you see Mkers ban the Zarya, which you might maybe raise your eyebrows at least initially. But I think what that does is it really forces the Sigma mirror. It takes any ability away for GuChuai to play some of the other stuff. It protects Sigma as well, most importantly, so Punk can play that. And also what it stops is it stops the Zarya Venture combo coming out for LGD.
Absolutely, and this is probably one of the first times that we do see an actual like protect ban here, right? It's really just banning a different hero to make sure you can really force a composition like it is now with the Sigma, as this is, well, honestly, Circuit Royale has always been about the Sigma, and therefore definitely wanted to force that, wanted to make sure that there's no opportunity for Wolfgang to maybe even ban it if Mkers would have gone for a different hero category. And we do see that both teams, they seem up for the challenge, they seem up for the task. Punk, same as GuChuai, are on the Sigma. So let's go right into it.
Seems like they're going to get that exact matchup they want as well. Brig has been taken out of the equation, so we're going to see a full Bap Ilari come out, and it's actually going to be Bap Lucio from LGD, so I want to play a faster version, but they're playing it with Widow Farah, so I'm not really sure what Length's job is going to be in this. I think this should favour Mkers. They can just slow it down, play for their angles. As long as Shy doesn't take off too many heads, they should be alright.
They should indeed be, and especially this corner here, it gives you so much opportunity to play around it, but you have to respect the Widowmaker. Of course, Shy can be super dangerous here, so make sure that you're thinking about every step twice before you do it. Rock getting slammed into the face of Punk as he's falling low, and Shy is looking for those peaks, doesn't quite get the one against you, but there's an opportunity here that's opening as the players from Mkers are falling lower and lower. Lamp used on the other side as well, though.
Just get a late trade, but the damage might already really be done here for LGD, and really backfiring maybe a little bit here for Mkers, not able to win these early fights. Obviously, the nature of this type of matchup is it is very slow and picky, so it can quite quickly snowball away. As we get LGD setting up close here, and this fight is really important for them. This retake, if you get reset and you have to go up this big old hill, super difficult. So yeah, it's really important you nail the snowball here, so LGD are going to try and hold aggressively with their upcoming window.
The window is indeed ready now, pulls right away just to make sure that they can maybe force Mkers back a bit more here, and it works out for them as they're trying to make meter after meter here. One has to push the card, so on the fight there's a slight disadvantage maybe here. They want to use now, and an early aggressive barrage from Leave makes it work. Punk killed himself in the end somehow, some way there. But Mkers, they all fall back into spawn. And now if you make that card go fast, you can maybe force one more fight here. You're already very close to the second checkpoint.
I think while we talked about the Lucio being a bit of a weird pick in this composition, and while he doesn't have a lot to do in the neutral, the beat is a really good ult to push with, and we saw that exactly there, as we're going to see a Captive Sun to try and turn this one back. GuChuai is trying to kite the other way and connects the headshot, and just when it looks like they're able to get a bit of pushback going, Shy is able to clean it all up. And as much as on paper the comp is maybe uncomfortable in terms of you put GuChuai and Lengths into roles that aren't their strength, unfortunately you have also left Shy with the ability to play very much a hero, and that is his comfort zone.
Look at that time bank though, 5 minutes 20 on the clock for Wolfgang. They are in such a prime position to build up a bank for life here. Mkers, they'll need to step up the game a little bit. They need to get a foot into the door here. His current pace is going the way of Wu-Feng for sure. Punk trying to make something happen here. Looking for a good ultimate, but doesn't catch anyone here. Gukshe, he dies in the end, but was there enough to argue for this ultimate? As Wu-Feng is just making meter after meter.
Yeah, they still end up getting the kill out of a Flux. The problem with defending third point Circuit Royale is you saw them take that coast fight, and even though Wu-Feng, they lose the coast fight, because the payload's moving the entire time, it's the same difference. They've got it to pretty much one fight territory anyway here, LGD, so a pretty good result considering they had no ults in that fight. They'll have window coming up, and then a decent amount of ults following that too, and maybe they don't even need them.
It doesn't look like it though. Shy once again opens up this fight with Leave. Such a crucial, such a dangerous duo right here. And now they can finally push this into the last dimension. Kalex, he was trying to, well, I don't know if he's actually trying to flank or is just like not finding a way out there. But he gets taken out by Wu-Feng as well. Little late spawn for him. Couple of ultimates available though for Mkers to maybe stop this one.
Yeah, they're going to need to try and get value out of this Bob in this window. The scary thing for them is this beat barrage. If it kills any of these key targets, they're in big trouble. Monk does die early. That's a good start. And all right, they don't get the beat out, but they do hold for fight thanks to that Bob, and that'll be a big stabilizer. Still needs to be wary of Shy, but surely in a 1v5, never mind, he's fine.
Oh, that's a painful
it would have been
one,
outrageous if he got that one. Outrageous. But
oh man. Oh man. I mean, he's able to make it work where he gets a pick, at least ultimate's ready for him to go. And Mkers now, they only have the window to work with. Maybe the Captive Sun will be online just in time. But with the visor, now everyone knows where the enemies are. And therefore, you have to be super, super careful now. Don't make any wrong moves.
Yeah, they've given up a little bit of space here. Oh, careful, Nu. Now the beat push comes in. This could be the final blow, but Future's going to try and finish more with a Flux. Gets on top of Punk, but can't find the kill. And they've used a lot of ultimates, but not a lot of results so far, LGD. And now Shy is low in the back. They're trying to stabilize on his high ground. Mkers are stuck in a tricky position, but they've actually kind of stabilized. And a Captive Sun soon for Color Hex.
Oh, that's a good barrage, but there's so much damage blocked here. Good action there from Punk, making it work. And Top Dragon Kalex, they finish the kills off right after, but what a nice block from Punk.
I still had the Matrix there. We saw on the previous one, on the Snowball fight on second attack, that Punk wasn't ready for it, gets caught, doesn't have the cooldowns. This time it feels like LGD weren't tracking that quite as much and ends up being just a Matrix in the face from Punk. Get to hold on to that Captive Sun, get to hold on to that Pulse Bomb, and starting to look like they found a bit of their footing here. As long as these ults get value, they could really put us into last fight territory here, Mkers.
Wu-Feng, they're fairly dry at the moment. They have the window coming up, yeah, but there's not really too much more on their bank at the moment. Captive Sun, there's the bomb as well available. Punk will have the Gravitic Flux in a second as well. Mkers have really stabilized off this very nicely. They just need to bring it over the time now. Ooh. We're getting into the last 100 seconds. Nice rock there into the face of Mong. Has to come back to that edge.
Disengage on this window.
He keeps looking for those picks.
Just need to be careful with Shy here. Captive Sun in response. Just want to kill Gushue with it. Doesn't quite connect. And Gushue dodges the rock, so he did alright to survive all that, but still goes down. Still needs to be careful, but pressure is coming on to Aki on the far side. LGD have the high ground, but they have no tank. Can they get the kills off the back of this? And, oh, good tink from Shy. He can't be stopped today. And LGD are going to keep this one moving, even without Gushue.
Oh! And Shy, he's making this work so good on the Widowmaker. The Bob might be crucial here. As New is looking for a pick here, but he has to be super careful because Shy, he's ready, but the Bob does quite a lot of work here together with the Ash. Take down Monk and the Immortality Field. Punk finds a late pick onto Langsa. Maybe another one on Shy, even trying to push this one a little bit more. 40 seconds. If you consider they had 5.5 going into the third point, this is great work from Mkers already.
Really good recovery so far. You have to hope they can finish it because LGD do have this big power spike of ultimates, Captive Sun, Flux, Barrage, lots of things that can go wrong. And obviously Shy can click on heads through all of this. So maybe need a little bit of creativity here from Mkers, maybe a flank or a play with this window, something aggressive to disrupt LGD.
Looking for something to make the job here. Leaf, he finds an early pick onto Top Dragon. This might be the opener. And now Ultimate's into the field. Leaf gets two, very, very low though. Captive Sun doesn't seem to get a pick here. Baptiste makes another frag though for the defense. And now with the window, he could have a good opportunity, but Guksha, he's really going for that good gravitic flash. The lamp seems to save the day for now. He has to be super careful. The tank, he makes it work, gets both, but New now go on the card. Overtime ticking down, and somehow, some way, Wu Feng just lost about 6 minutes on this third point.
It's a great recovery, actually. Circuit Royale is not a straightforward map to complete, and that's why that snowball's so important. And ultimately, we saw LGD nail that snowball, worked really well for them, but after that, once they got stuck, they really got stuck. And it's not the easiest task ahead of Mkers, but it's winnable now. Just get to the end of the map, and I think the more we saw that going on, did worry in that last fight. It was a little bit too static from him, but Aki with that important trade really sets him up, and they kept trading kills, they kept finding value. The big worry, obviously, if you're Mkers, is how do you deal with Shy going into this next round?
Yeah, the Widowmaker seems to be still an essential part of many compositions on this map. It's always been the Sigma and the Widowmaker, honestly. Maybe throw a Genji in there as well, but the Tracer works the same way. And honestly, Shy on that Widowmaker, he has been looking very, very clean in this attack round. With those long angles, with those long straight lines on that, especially first map part, of course, it is basically made for the Widowmaker.
Exactly, yeah. It's always such a Widow-favoured map. That's why we've seen previously on some Circle Royale seems to even ban it to take exactly that threat away. We do really see not too many changes. It is going to be an Alari on the defense here, so we might get a full back Alari mirror. New again opting out of the Widow trade here, so doesn't fancy his chances against it. So what you have to do here if you're the Ashe is you have to just play to find alternate angles. Can't really duel that Widow, but can poke and probe the sides, try and get dynamite value, just try and disrupt. We'll see how he chooses to go here, as we're also going to get the Pharah mirror from Top Dragon and leave.
Top Dragon, no Tracer for him. He wants that Pharah. But he has to be very careful. The Widowmaker still a massive threat here, but they are able to control this fairly good till now. Just apply enough pressure to keep her behind that house. Try falling low. But the angle is still super, super dangerous as he finds that pick. Onto Top Dragon, no Pharah on the side of Mkers anymore. And News is also falling low here. Does make it out alive for now.
Ooh, Dink onto Punk is going to push him low, forces him even further back. They have the lamp to try and get Punk out of that one, but they're still pushing it here. LGD slowly approaching from all sides, and there is nowhere for him to go. A trade would be nice, but I don't think it's coming. And back to the drawing board for Mkers.
And you do see a quite clear ultimate advantage now coming up on the side of Wu Feng. A lot of switches coming in, New going on the Widowmaker. Didn't really work out for him, honestly. He basically just got eliminated in his own spawn right there. Shy, now they have that very long angle towards the spawn side, actually pushing quite aggressively into this now, trying to go back a bit more. Better safe than sorry. And Leave and Shy, they do have full control of these avenues right now.
Will be a Wolves pop from Shy now as well, and this will slow him down even more. They catch Top Dragon now, and it's going to be a disengage. Might be tricky for Color Hex to get out of this one. They're pushing him quite hard. They do have an angle on the other side, but no. Again, LGD do a good job. Push from all the different sides, drop an ult in the top. And these ults are all up quicker for LGD as well, so Maker's going to have to start in this next one slow as well. And Fuchway is in the spawn trying to bully Aki, and he gets him.
Not really too much happening for Mkers at the moment. They aren't really able to find a way through those lines of Wu Feng. Just as of now, obviously a lot of ultimates coming up soon, but Leave has got the ultimate. There's the grid that flux the window. So much to work with for Wu Feng, and maybe at this point it's just smarter to simply respect the window here, kite back a little bit while the ultimates are coming in, but Leave is only finding Punk, but it will probably even be enough to force them back a little longer. Color Hex does find a kill, but Shy is ready for the Ashe.
Pushes him back and even gets the trade here with the Captive Sun as well. They finally get their breakthrough. There'll be one more fight before the cap. Will be a flux apiece, but Top Dragon has that barrage. So, Mkers have a situation they can capture first point here. They just need to make sure they nail these ults. And, importantly, avoid Shy on the way back.
Gravitic Flux on both sides now available. Could be the key weapon in this next fight for sure. A little bit of extra healing coming in as well. And now there is the Gravitic Flux. It is looking good for in the mix. But that lamp is doing so much work. Shy still does find the kill on Kallax, so now the returning Gravitic Flux looks even better. But Top Dragon only able to find one over the barrage. 24 seconds. Mkers have to get out there fast.
It looked too early from Goochway initially. He gets the lamp and a lot of resources, and Shy can find the pick, but it felt like Punk maybe rushed for a response, couldn't find the value we wanted, and now we're in a desperate situation. D.Va and Genji, they have to try and make the touch, they have to try and make the dive work, they have to try and keep hold of their heads as they come around this corner.
Top Dragon, he's now on the Genji for this last fight. A good window on the corner, overtime triggered, of course. Will this Genji make a difference here? Top Dragon trying to look for kills, but Shy is up there once again, taking out the early advantage for Fufeng. But now the trade comes in. The Top Dragon puts that Genji to work. Two in his favor already, but Gushue also making so much work for Fufeng here. 3 kills on the board with his name on them. And this might just be it right here, right now. The D.Va is out of the mix, therefore no one left to contest this card. Overtime ticking down. Fufeng are going to match point.
Ends up being a nice, comfortable one in the end, full hold. I think we saw Top Dragon, we saw a glimpse of it in there. If you're not familiar with Top Dragon, as much as we've seen him mostly on Tracer so far at this tournament, Genji is really his go-to hero with the highest peak. And we saw a glimpse of that at the end there. Maybe you can make the argument that, look, if you're in a situation where you don't particularly want to take the Widow Mirror because you don't think you've got that advantage, then you need to try and do something to disrupt that Widow otherwise. And normally a go-to pick on that Circuit Royale is some kind of Genji. So maybe there was actually an avenue there for Mkers to play, even though you'd rather play it with the Brig. Maybe you could even play it with the Lucio, or you can even, I know they had Color Herrick in, so maybe you have to force the Ilari, but still playing that Genji, play a little bit more to try and support Dragon in some of these positions. It felt he wasn't able to do it as much on Tracer. Maybe Genji would have been a better solution than the Pharah Mirror there in hindsight.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, he did do it in the end, right? But he did it like 20 seconds before the end, and therefore maybe a bit too late for that decision in this case. But yeah, Fufeng, honestly, that DPS duo also just works really, really well. We're talking about two of maybe the most experienced players, our experience in their hands as well. Sorry too much, and therefore it's even more confusing considering they did lose to Twisted Minds quite clearly yesterday, as they're looking fairly solid right now in this matchup. One of the maybe more interesting statistics actually going into this World Cup here. There's been so many Escort and even hybrid maps already, but do you know what has never happened today and yesterday? We have not seen a second round in any of those maps yet, so it shows how big of the skill difference all of those matches in the group stage still are, having those teams from the smaller regions as well. There's never really been a too close matchup, and therefore there's never been a second round in any of those games.
Really interesting, isn't it, that we're seeing so many full holds come out. I think one thing that's worth noting that we've maybe not talked about so much with the hero bans is the difficulty this puts on for all the coaches in terms of their preparation. And you look at some of these points, particularly on the hybrid and some of these first points, where your solutions to these points actually have to be quite scripted and quite precise in terms of how you want to take space, how you want to carve open an angle. Midtown, a very unforgiving map. Circuit Royale, we saw in these walk-ups, very unforgiving as well. So if you don't just have a bit of fortune or a bit of luck, even a lot of the Midtowns we've seen have been actually quite scrappy first caps. You know, it's not gone as smoothly as the team wanted. So I think what you lose with these hero bans is the chance to practice so precisely, and as such, you don't get to solve these maybe more complicated or more tricky map situations, which is maybe a little bit of the explanation why we're seeing so many full holds in this tournament.
Absolutely, and I think you got it just right there. It's mostly about you do have a good plan for example, Midtown, right? You know what you want to do, but then there's that one hero you can't play. You have to find something that's close enough to match that to some point, but it won't be as flawless as you might have practiced it in scrims. And therefore, there's always this kind of scrappy factor to an attack or defensive round, because you do have in mind what you want to do. And maybe the enemy gets it right. Maybe you even picked a hero that was meant to be there, but now isn't. and therefore it's always not that smooth ride that we would be expecting from a tournament without hero bans, but also the challenge that comes with it, the flexibility that we're asking from the teams here. It makes it so much more entertaining. It gives us so much more variety in those compositions that we're seeing in this Overwatch World Cup, and therefore I do enjoy it quite a lot.
It's been very interesting to see and how teams are taking this different approach to it. And I think LGD are maybe one of these teams we've seen actually change their approach already in this tournament. Coming in, it felt like LGD were kind of actually maybe playing a little bit of like a meta slave version of the approach in this tournament in terms of, oh, well, D.Va's really strong, Mkers pretty strong, we're going to have to lean into these comps to make it work. Whereas now it feels like they're maybe defaulting back to, hey, you know what? We know Shy isn't going to be able to go toe-to-toe on flex DPS with all these top flex DPS players, but he can on hit scan. Can we find a way for them to make that work? And we saw Shy pop off there on that Circuit Royale. We saw Shy do a lot of value on Lijiang Tower as well. So it's really interesting to see if LGD can keep this going once the opposition gets tougher, presuming obviously that they close out this series here.
And they do have a quite good opportunity for it, right? We did see an escort map now. Maybe they'll try to do hybrid once more, right? Midtown still up on the desk, up on the options here. But still, like, honestly, compared to Lijiang Tower, this second map, it did look a bit more one-sided. We'll see what the team of Punk, what Mkers can still do in this matchup, as we'll go into a quick break and allow the players for a couple of substitutions. We'll be right back. It is crunch time for Mkers, and you can see Ante. He's understood the task here, Commander. He's ready for a reverse sweep here.
It's actually, there's no chance for LGD now because Ante has taken off the blazer, he's rolled out his sleeves, and he's banned Winston. So it's a reverse sweep territory, probably unavoidable at this point. We'll see how LGD choose to respond.
Well, on Suravasta, they'll have the Winston ban against it, but they're also banning the Trace, and that's been one of the heroes that Top Dragon did want to play fairly often in those matches. And now, obviously, well, his Pharah, it didn't look super well, right? There's probably another couple of options for him, but the Trace is definitely one of his main heroes. So also, this ban definitely affecting Top Dragon, therefore Mkers in this very important potentially last map for the team from down under, as they are facing a, well, way better looking Wufang than yesterday, honestly. They're ready for it. They're absolutely ready for it. You can see Ante trying to explain, trying to get a couple of good screens and pictures. He's like, if the camera's on me for once, let me try to get something for my highlight reel, you know?
I thought the reverse sweep was on the cards, but it seems like Mkers are quite shaken actually in terms of their potential solutions for this map. So mental breakdowns aside, hopefully Mkers can make a better go of this. I think if we look at the bans and the roster substitutions they've made, it is new out, so Mkers have removed the hit scan player, put Color Hex into that role, opener returns, which means we're probably going to see a version of this, the double flex DPS Diva. This is a comp that really was a big struggle for LGD last time, and Winston's banned, right, so Gushue cannot go that. It looks like Wufeng are going to try and take a version of the mirror, but they're going to lean into the Ash Echo. So I think a reasonable choice. I think credit to Rush and the LGD team here for banning Tracer, because obviously they read this is what Mkers want to do, so they ban the Tracer to try and sabotage that double flex DPS that Mkers wanted to run, but they're going to run a Venture Echo version instead. So a lot of attention here. Can Color Hex and Top Dragon kill Shy?
It's so great to see Color Hex in two different categories, right? Played the support before, now on the DPS. Lots of flexibility coming in from him here. Is it going to be enough though against a team like Wufeng? They look really strong on those first two maps. Now the go comes in. Color Hex quite slow honestly here, but trying to make it work. But Leaf, he will be the first one to fall here as he gets a kill on opener. Boucher trying to put out Color Hex and Top Dragon now on the Echo, denied the Tracy, but on the Echo, I mean, he gets a kill, right? But the first fight, it was lost before.
You see the right kind of idea. The nature of these two slightly different versions of the same comp is Wufeng's comp should win over time. If Monk and Shy are allowed to play the game, time to do damage and use their cooldowns, they will outvalue the heroes on Mkers' side. So Mkers need to go aggressive, they need to kill them before that. But obviously, Wufeng, knowing this is the case, they're really ready for that first engage. I really would like to have seen Mkers just sort of scare them away, reset out a good corner and go again.
Nice early kill here against Top Dragon. Mkers one down once again, getting Diana out of the mix zone. Open is able to find the pick on Shy as well. Color Hex falls in the process, playing the Genji now, but Punk, he's got both supports out of the game. Wufeng, they have to retreat here as the penalties are already going up for Mkers. A nice dagger here possibly for Gushue as well. The mini diva
Keep him
will
forever.
cost him so much time.
Is he going to try and farm it? Is he
Looks just like it.
He's going to try and farm it. He could just jump off to the right here as well. I mean, it's too late now. Now he's committed to farming it. He has to farm it. They will have these good ults coming back here, but maybe it was actually a window there for Mkers to even go once the rest of the team were there, try and catch him before they get the mech. Instead, they play it really slow, and they turn their attention on two. Leave actually, they force an early copy. Leaves in the middle of nowhere.
Not really sure what he wanted to do there, but definitely a good start now. Opener has fallen. Shy got that kill, and there's so many ultimates to work with here. They used them all. Boost coming out, Nano as well. Kills come their way, but it's been fairly expensive.
Expensive, and they lose the point a little bit early as well. I feel like probably if I'm Mkers, there was a timing before when they were selling Baby Diva to go. To be fair, they spot Leave a little bit split. They go and punish him, they force that ultimate out, but they're just not able to follow up the kill. Top Dragon forcing to be Ashe copy is probably not what he really wanted. Now they don't have a lot of good ults here, but Beat coming back, expects more aggression from Mkers. Monk and Shy will be target number 1 once again.
Potentially the last fight for both of those teams on this first Flashpoint. The cap almost through. Believe he finds the first pick against Colorhex. Advantage once again on the side of Wu Feng. Bomb on the spot as well. Doesn't get anything with it. Leave. He's doing all the work here for Wu Feng LGD. Kills come in. The overtime as it ticks down. It will be first Flashpoint locked and loaded for Wu Feng. Shy Leaf. They're able to make it work. This CPS2 is doing all the work here.
Really high quality from Leave in that one, doing his job exactly right. When you are playing in a comp that's a little bit slower, that's going to get dived, your job as the Echo is to trade that aggression coming in. You see him doing that perfectly, dealing with the Genji first, and then he even catches the Baby D.Va as well. Perfect stickies, perfect play of his role, and now they even have a slight ult advantage here with this early bomb, but Colorhex close to that blade.
Could work with it for sure. Now has it fully charged. Slices through, looking for the kill, but gets taken down immediately. Oh no, what a blade, what a miss, honestly. Monk comes up clutch in this game, but still the rest of the team, it falls fairly low. Makers once again the first ones to cap this point, but it won't be for long if they keep falling like this. Shy, 2 in the books already, both supports taken out of the equation. And the D.Va follows up onto a tank down. Mkers down, and Wu Feng flip the point.
Not the prettiest. The nature of Genji and Dragonblade right now is, in the neutral, it's actually really reasonable to play the Genji. The Dragonblade a bit harder into this type of comp to get value in because of the boops, the 2 boops from the Ashe and the Lucio, the Sleep, the Matrix, the Echo's going to stick and beam you. Obviously doesn't go well there, and now nano advantage for LGD. They can drop that one and even have a quicker beat as well.
Looking for the stickies, forces the copy once again, leaves on the D.Va, but 4 D.Vas are on the field right now. It's a true brawl going on. Leaf is out of the mech though. The copy did not work out for him too much. He's getting out of the mech once again in the copy. Did charge it twice, did lose it twice. No picks coming in till now, but now the Genji is dead. Wu Feng again with the advantage here. Punk trying to pressure more and more, but the Sleep hits him heavily as he'll lose the mech here, trying to use the bomb to redo it. Opener gets the kill on the Ana. Top Dragon on Leave, maybe have a chance here. With the crush it could do a lot of damage, but the Bob does so much work against the Echo.
It's the ults that save it for him eventually in the end, because they were really struggling there, but trades were coming in for Mkers, but as soon as those later ults came in, especially that Nano, especially that Bob right at the end, it was just too much for him to handle. And I mean, it's better. We're seeing better things for sure. And there's probably a bit of a case when you're doing this copy D.Va, as we've seen a lot of teams do, and we're doing it particularly well. It's really important that you manage your matrix properly before the 2 D.Vas. If your matrix is in the same damage, you're just wasting matrix. So I don't have the best way to communicate it or do it, but there is probably like a way to min-max that a little bit better. We saw Gouchwei and Leave both drop the matrix at the same time, and then Leave got very quickly D-maxed afterwards. It works out for them, but probably an optimization there.
Could have been a bit more efficient for sure, but in the end it's the result that worked in their favor. Once again, Flashpoint able to be capped now. Punk gets an early kill onto Shy. Good start for this one. The remake is there for Gouchwei.
Coming back in, no real ult to speak of as of yet, and it looks like Mkers don't want to waste any time. They want to try and get any more kills, but they have backed it out, which means we're going to see a copy off really, so we might be in for another 4 D.Va situation. Colorhex with a blade, Lengthster will be pretty desperate to get the blade to match now, but Mkers don't want to give them any space or time.
2 DPS ults will be available for Mkers in this next fight. They got the copy, they also have the Genji blade. It didn't work out the first time, maybe it will be better in this second attempt now. Colorhex looking for an opening, looking for an opportunity to deny the push that Wu Feng is about to make, as they are trying to get 1 foot back onto that Flashpoint.
Kitsune rush to kick it off here, will make Punk go low awfully quickly as Gouchwei's nanoed in. They try and beat back, Top Dragon with a copy in as well, hits the nade onto Monk but is slept. They're still trying to double down onto Monk with their aggression here as this Blade comes over the top. Surely they get him. Finally, Color Hex gets his man. This Blade looking a lot better, and they're going to get a round back.
They will indeed. One now on the board for Mkers as well. Leaf looking for a late pick, but won't get it in the end. Top Dragon takes him down afterwards. Mkers finally able to get a foot in the door here on map number 3. And they really need it. It is about time for them to step up the game here.
Yeah, have to win everything from this point, really. It has to be a reverse sweep situation. And at least they've got even bombs, and they do have a Bob to worry about, which is a good defensive tool against these dive comps. So expect Shy to hold on to that one for as long as he can, just to try and force this dive off of his back line.
Couple of ultimates coming up now. The Bob is getting thrown in the mix early here just to clean the point, mostly just to push Mkers back a little bit here. Make sure you get the cap early. Not too much more coming from the Bob, but it did the job quite nicely. Kushu, he's got the bomb ready, can play more aggressive with it now. Big metrics as well.
Ooh, they find
Lijiang, he gets the first pick.
Bomb over the top as well from Gushui, now doesn't get anything. Punk is trying to go aggressive, sticks on him, doesn't get back into mech, crucially. Gushui is still 1 HP underneath this, just managed to somehow get out, and without that trade, I think they're just going to have to sacrifice this fight. Wu Feng now in pole position to close out this map and close out this series.
It's looking good for them so far. They will have to Katsuni rush ready for this next fight if Monk can stay alive a little longer. But there's a couple of ultimates coming up on the side of Mkers as well. Looking for an opportunity to maybe use the copy, for example. Katsuni Rush now available on both sides. This needs to be a fast go. It will be their last fight for sure.
Coming back
now
in.
Going and throwing everything into the mix here. Diva copy coming out as well. Leaf does have the copy ready as well, though, if he needs it later. Both Katsuni Rushes being thrown into the mix as well. Overtime triggered already.
Beats will be exchanged as well. Copy was used earlier for Top Dragon, which means Leaf does have this later Diva copy to come back in. The self-destruct will buy him a bit of space, and Color Hex nearly has this Blade. Needs to nail this one, needs to finish it. Needs to find a way through, still 3% away. He's got it now, time to pull the trigger perhaps. They've lost opener, can't waste any time. All on Color Hex, he's low. The Suzu comes out, he gets shut down. They didn't have the pocket they need, they didn't have control of the point. The later copy takes it away from them. And LGD recover from their early stumble. 3-0 in the Mkers here.
They do indeed, and honestly, Color Hex, he did look better on support in this series. Wasn't really super lucky with the Genji on